Hey there, this is Steve with Smitty's Fly Box, and today I'm tying just a regular old parachute Adams. So we have a standard dry fly hook with A-dot thread. I'm just going to begin by attaching my thread and getting that started. And then I'm going to take my thread to the 2/3 position of the hook, about right in there. And the first thing we're going to do is tie in the post. So I just have some regular old calf body hair, and I'm just going to come along here and snip off a little section like that and put it in my hair stacker. This is where a good brass hair stacker is helpful, because calf body can be kind of a pain to work with. So I'm going to hold my hair stacker like this, but sometimes that hair doesn't want to pull out. So if you just tilt it just slightly, then you can take the back end off, and hopefully it'll stay in there like that. And then I can get a hold of this hair nice and neatly, and we'll make sure we clean off any of the under fur on the back side, any clipped edges. Just take a minute and run your fingers through that. And I want to be able to get a hold of the post so it looks about like that. Now it's probably not going to be perfect, but I'm not going to worry too much about it. But I want that post to be about the length of the hook shank. So once I have that measurement, I can slide it over here, and we'll just carefully tie down that post. One loose wrap to just kind of gather everything, and then make a few more turns towards your left, and that will help secure that hair to the hook. And I'm going to come in here and just make a few snips. Now I prefer to just make, 2 or 3 kind of not jagged but not a blunt edge. Because now I can come back and just support that with my finger right there as I tie down those butt ends, and that helps create almost a taper up to that post that will help me later on. So let's just build a little thread base and to cover that up. All right, I got a few strays there. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull all that hair straight up. Just pull it back, and let's make a bunch of wraps really tight up under there and build a taper right down to the eye of the hook like that. And that'll help make that hair get upright. It's going to look a little messy, almost like a comparadun. I got one stray there that's bugging me, so let's snip him off. All right, now let's try to build the post. So what we're going to do is bring the thread behind all the hair and just grab a hold of it. And now we can just make clockwise wraps up that post. Carefully, let's go up a little ways, trying to gather all that hair and get it standing straight up, about like that. Let's come right back down and continue wrapping. Got one more stray there that got trapped, but that's cleaned up pretty nice. All right, now we can begin just tying the fly towards the back. Let's take our thread back, and we're going to tie in a tail. So for the tail, I have kind of almost a junky looking feather, and this is strung hackle. I'm going to just take it by the tip and just run my fingers right down along there. And what that gives us is some nice long straight hackle barbs for the tail. So I'm going to just grab a hold of a little clump there and just peel those off. Now I'm going to gather those in my hands to where I can build a tail. The nice thing about this is, notice how they pretty much stack up pretty nice. I don't need to put them in a hair stacker and try to do that, but I'm going to trim this butt section down so the butts are pretty even, and that's what I want for a tail. So I want the tail to be about the length of the hook shank, so I'm going to measure that and then I can switch that to my left hand. And notice I've got a little butt section there, and that's going to fill in really nicely. So that's where the measurement is to build the tail the right way. And I'm just going to lay that in there, and it rolls up there nice and neat and kind of fills in that gap of that taper that we've started to build. And then let's just tie it down all the way back to our tie-in point directly above the barb of the hook, which will be about right in there. And that looks pretty good for a tail. All right, we can just begin dubbing the body now. So I just have some Adams Superfine dubbing, and I'm going to start with just a small amount. I just want to coat really a couple inches of that thread with even amounts, and then I can just begin building this body forward. Start out kind of small, and then just follow that taper and get a little bit thicker as we go. Let's add just a small amount more there. I want to build that dub body right up to the post. About like that, should be just about right. Okay, so now I'm ready to tie in the hackle. And what I've got is just a piece of brown strung hackle and a piece of grizzly strung hackle. And so I'm going to take those one at a time here and start with the butt section. And let's just strip us a little stem right there. All right, now I prefer to have the underside of the feather. That's the underside. This is the top side. And the underside, I'm going to tie it in just in front of that post. And just hold that stem there, tie that down, and then let's lift it up. And make a couple of turns around the post, up the post again, and position that hackle. So it's tied in up the post, and let's return. Okay, I'm going to repeat that step with brown. Just lay that stem in there and tie it down nice and tight. And then let's just hold that right up there with the grizzly. This can be tricky because you got two feathers, but let's just make a couple of turns there and secure that in and come right back down. All right, and now we can just continue dubbing this fly. So let's add a little dubbing here, and we're going to just build that taper again. I want to make a couple wraps behind the post. Maybe there might be a dead spot there, and then I'm going to continue in front of the post and try to build that up. Yeah, I might need one more little shot of it here just to get the body how I want it. Let's look if there's any dead spots. Let's just come right up in here tight like that. And that kind of fills that in. And we'll bring it right down to the eye of the hook. Now we got to tie off this hackle. So I prefer to do this one at a time. So let's start with the grizzly, and I'm just going to make like 2 turns. Now the last turn, what I'm going to do is hold that hackle and strip the sides like that. And let's come one more. And now I just have a bare stem there that I can notch right there around the eye of the hook on the far side. And I can come around and tie that off. Just bring it over the feather, and then I can avoid any of those hackle barbs. And let's come in here and trim that off nice and tight. I got a couple of captured ones there. All right, let's repeat that step now with the brown. So let's come around here. And basically, I'm just going to just work it through the grizzly. A couple of turns. And again, the last one. Let's just hold it there like that. Take our fingernail and just strip 2 sides like that. And now I can make my last turn, try to come up underneath everything, and we'll hold it there on the far side. And now I can bring my thread up underneath, tie that down once, twice, and let's do it 3 times just to make sure. And then I can cleanly tie off that hackle, and I don't have a bunch of barbs sticking out. All right, so there's our underside. Let's do our whip finish. And this can be a little tricky as well. The key is pull that hackle back out of the way, and let's make a nice little neat whip finish right up under there. Like that. And now we can trim it off. Push back down any of those hackles that we messed up. Get them how we want. And put a little head cement on there, and we've got a pair of Shoot Adams.